Good afternoon. The time has just gone 4 p.m. here in the UK. It is Tuesday, the 8th of October. Thanks for clicking on to this Hurricane Milton update. This is a video captured by Lieutenant Comrade Joshua Rannenberg of the NOAA Corps. This is the WP-3D Orion aircraft that flew through the eye wall and eventually into the eye of Hurricane Milton yesterday. And I want to just start this video off today by showing you this footage, incredible footage at that, of these guys flying into the system. The encounter, the eye wall, the severe turbulence as they cross into that intense upward motion within the system. The eye wall, the strongest part of the system, and then the clear into the eye itself. So this lasts just about a minute 45 seconds or so. You can see the bumping around. They're encountering the tremendous updrafts within the core of Milton. We know that it became a Category 5 upper end 180 mile per hour system. It has undergone 2 eye wall replacement cycles. That second replacement has just been completed. It has weakened somewhat down to a Category 4 145 mile per hour hurricane, but it is expected to possibly return to Category 5 intensity over the next 12 to 24 hours as it crosses back over the loop current, just like we've seen with Helene. There's these guys now clearing out. They can now see the stadium effect within the eye of Hurricane Milton. The diameter of the eye shrunk to 3.4 miles. The intense contraction of the core eventually led to an outer eye wall developing, and then a new larger eye formed. Now, obviously, we did see some absolutely incredible concentric structure, about as well organized of a tropical cyclone as you're ever going to see, really. And this is some interesting tweets that I want to show and share with you. This is from Sierra, and the system went from a Category 1 to a Category 5 within 24 hours. In fact, it actually went from tropical storm to Category 5 within, I think, just over the 24-hour mark, and about as rapid of an intensification as you're ever going to see in Atlantic tropical cyclone. This was a tweet that was put out by myself some 16 hours ago. I want to kind of talk you through the evolution that got to this system becoming one of the strongest Atlantic hurricanes on record. Note the intense thick concentric banding. Those cloud tops, by the way, were cooling to minus 80, minus 90. And some satellite infrared imagery was capturing cloud tops as cold as minus 100 Celsius. And what you've got is, when you've got this tremendous central dense overcast, incredible concentric look, a look that you only see in the most powerful tropical cyclones on the planet. What you've got is this tremendous rush of air down into the eye itself, forcing the pressure to fall below 900 millibars for the first time in 19 years. The last time we've seen a sub-900 millibar tropical cyclone in the Atlantic was Wilma back in October 2005. But the tremendous subsidence within the eye is what creates that clear and almost perfect looking eye. Now, as the system continued to strengthen, that eye tightened to a pinhole, and then what happened is we had the outer eye starting to form. That then forces the existing eye to collapse. The eye disappears for a period of time, and then that outer eye wall that was developing before the other one collapsed basically creates the new eye. And what happens is, with these eye wall replacement cycles, the eye becomes larger in diameter, and the wind flow and the wind field around the actual core begins to expand out from the center. So this system is growing in intensity. We are now beginning to see the system turn more towards a kind of northeasterly direction as opposed to a due east. It has been skirting the north coast of the Yucatan over the last 24 hours or so, really, and this has been a very close encounter with some of these communities along the far north of the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico here. I believe anyway, it has been a devastating hit in this part of Mexico. I think the core of Milton has been so small, you're talking only 30 miles out from the centre, that the conditions are dramatically less extreme. So I think a lot of the most intense winds and nasty conditions has been generally offshore. This is an incredible this is essentially looking down. This is a 3D animation looking down over Hurricane Milton, and just look at that. That's meteorological perfection right there. And the different colours within the eye represents the different temperatures. You notice here that we've got the yellow within the eye wall itself. That is showing heat. As that air descends down through the eye itself, then just outside the eye, we've got temperatures exceptionally cold, minus 90, minus 100 degrees Celsius at the very top of this system here. So really is pretty astonishing stuff, actually. And of course, as the system became a Category 5 and the public knew, this was the scenes in Tampa Bay in Florida. Mass evacuations, people now fleeing, getting out of harm's way as this system becomes an absolute beast just off the north shore of the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. Continuing to look through some of the incredible footage that we're seeing, we also seen some very intense lightning. This is another up-close, high-resolution image of the eye. Look at that core. Look at that deep convection, that thick concentric band of intense upward motion, thunderstorm activity. It really is absolutely mind-boggling stuff. This is the strongest hurricane in the Atlantic Basin in 19 years, by the way, based on barometric pressure. This tweet here by Taylor Trogdon shows that in terms of atmospheric perfection, Milton is it. You simply won't find many examples of weather phenomenon more representative of theory in textbooks. The eye wall is likely in near cyclostrific, I can't even say that word, balance, a satellite loop for the history books. Yeah, I completely butchered that one, all right, but I'm not starting over, that's for sure. Looking also at a couple of other interesting things here, showing that a dropsonde, this is by CJ Fields. The dropsonde in the 4 nautical mile wide eye of Milton recorded an 899 millibar and 24 knot wind, which supports a central pressure of 897 millibars. This is the first sub-900 millibar Atlantic hurricane in nearly 2 decades, pending confirmation. And then, lo and behold, the NHC did confirm that pressure. This is another fascinating one here by Mike Masco. Milton is nearing its maximum peak intensity. Satellites showing minus 100 degrees Celsius cloud tops being reached. We are about to see Hurricane Milton hit a maximum potential intensity, which is really the theoretical highest level a hurricane can hit based on the environmental conditions. I've exaggerated the cloud tops vertically for you to see where they are exceeding minus 95 Celsius black and minus 100 Celsius in pink and red colouring. This is why we are getting hail reports from the NOAA hurricane hunters, and you can see that here. So the very highest cloud tops exceeding minus 100 degrees Celsius, and then we've got incredible warmth inside the core. So really is a remarkable event that took place late last night off the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. Now going to Florida, this is the threats that Milton has. We know that the system is going to weaken However, the wind field is going to continue to expand. It already contains Category 5, possibly going to become Category 5, Category 4, possibly becoming Category 5 once again, even as the system may see a decrease in overall wind speeds. The circulation is growing in strength in terms of expansion. It is also going to see a Category 4, possibly Category 5 level of storm surge. And the latest of National Hurricane Center has a 10 to 15 foot storm surge anywhere from just north of Tampa Bay all the way down to Inglewood here, 6 to 10 feet down to Bonita Beach, 4 to 7 down in towards the southwest corner of Florida. And then as we go up to the north here, we've got a 5 to 10 foot surge. Then it decreases slightly to 3 to 5, and then 1 to 3 all the way up to Indian Pass. But you notice here that we've even got a 2 to 4 foot storm surge anywhere from Sebastian Inlet all the way up to Flagler and Volusia County line, and then all the way up to along the Georgia coast into the lower coast of South Carolina as well. So we have not just a major threat on the west coast of Florida, we've also got that major threat on the east coast also. So this system is generating so much power that the effects are going to be greater than a Category 3 hurricane, I believe, anyway. Continuing to look through, Phil Klotzbach of CSU confirms that the pressure falling to 987 millibars is the lowest pressure in an Atlantic hurricane since Wilma back in 2005. The pressure in Wilma dropped to 882 millibars. Continuing to look through here, you can see the structure, almost textbook. You've got that kind of example in textbooks of the structure of a tropical cyclone with its updrafts and downdrafts. This is almost straight out of a textbook. Incredible graphics showing the inner core of Hurricane Milton. Look at that vertical column, almost perfectly aligned through the vertical atmosphere here. And look at the intense core just outside the actual eye itself. This is where your 180 mile per hour winds are contained. You've got flight level winds that were recorded within the Hurricane Hunter missions that were upwards of 215 miles per hour, just a few hundred feet above the surface of the Gulf of Mexico. So really is astonishing stuff that we seen last night. We also seen within 14 hours 58,000 plus lightning strikes within the eye wall of Hurricane Milton. So the intense lightning surrounding the eye itself always illustrates a strengthening or an exceptionally high-end powerful hurricane. This is the latest GOES 16 IR imagery showing that the eye wall was closing up, but it's now starting to show once again. We're starting to see the eye reappear after the completion of the eye wall replacement cycle. But notice the diameter of the eye. It's much bigger, and the wind field, according to the NHC, is expected to expand double the size it is currently. So we're going to have a double diameter wind field around Milton as it makes an approach in Florida, and that is the big concern. That is why we've got hurricane warnings from west coast all the way to the east coast of Florida, because we expect hurricane force winds, hurricane force wind gusts right the way across the Florida Peninsula with this. Looking at the latest information of the modelling here, so obviously these hurricane hunters fly crisscross. It's upwards of 12-hour missions. They're bumping around for a very prolonged period of time. These guys are risking their lives to drop these drop zones through the atmosphere within the storm. These drop zones then collect all the vital information, then it gets fed back to the National Hurricane Center in Miami. Then that gets fed into the computer models to increase the accuracy of the forecasts. So their mission through the storm itself, then brings that information back to the National Hurricane Center. That then gets fed, like I say, into the models, and then we see improvement in the forecast projections due to these missions. So the system is expected to continue to track in a northeasterly direction, moving ashore either just to the north, just to the south of the Tampa Bay area. If it stays just to the north of Tampa Bay, this is a likely worst case and historic landfall for the Tampa Bay area. There's upwards of 3 million people that lives in this part of Florida, by the way, and this is a very, very serious situation indeed. Looking at the multi-model run here of the hurricane models, you can see that the tracks are starting to come a little bit closer together. Now, I believe there has been a slight southward shift in the overall track consensus, but this system looks to be coming very, very close to the Miami, or should I say, sorry, the Tampa Bay area. I said Miami there. I don't know where I got that one from. So the Tampa Bay area, certainly folks that live either to the north or to the south of the Tampa Bay area really need to be on high alert for this system. Looking to see if there's anything else that I can show you of major importance at the moment. So just bear with me a little second here, everybody. So this is the surge threat. We've got upwards of 10 feet between Miami and Cedar Key, upwards of 15 feet around the Tampa Bay area, and points down towards Fort Myers, upwards of 10 feet from Fort Myers southwards. So you can see here that we have got an extreme and historic storm surge threat on the Gulf Coast of Florida. This is a tweet here by Nahel showing that this IWOL replacement cycle has been complete, and it may threaten Category 5 intensity once again over the next 12 hours or so. Looking at the latest information of NHC, we have a 145 mile per hour Category 4 hurricane, pressure at 929 millibars, moving in a now northeasterly direction, east-northeast, at approximately 12 miles per hour. We've got a trough that is digging in to the northern portions of the Gulf of Mexico. That, along with a ridge over the to the east of the system, is going to create this channel now between the trough and the ridge for a track east-northeasterly towards that central west coast of Florida, and a landfall likely sometime late Wednesday into the early hours of Thursday morning Eastern time. That is the projected landfall of Milton. Looking at the very latest cone of NHC, this is the latest track, so it's taken the center. Now, you can't look at the cone and look down the center of the cone. The center of the actual system itself could go well to the north of Tampa, it could go to the south of Tampa, but generally speaking, the general consensus has this system coming very, very close to the Tampa Bay area itself, and we have these hurricane warnings now up for both the east coast and the west coast of Florida. We've also got a hurricane warning still in effect along the north shore of the Yucatan Peninsula. Looking at the latest discussion of NHC real quick, and then we'll end with this. Sequences of microwave images and recent Hurricane Hunter observations suggest that Milton completed an IWOL replacement cycle overnight, and the new IWOL has contracted down from 22 nautical miles to 12 nautical miles in diameter. So it actually shows as if it's starting to shrink once again and starting to contract. That would suggest to me that it may be trying to tighten and strengthen yet again. It may undergo another IWOL replacement cycle. These IWOL replacement cycles are quite common in very powerful hurricanes. However, it does not appear that the hurricane weakened much after the IWOL replacement cycle. It could have rebounded with the outer IWOL contraction. A drop zone released by the NOAA P3 in the northeastern IWOL recently measured an average wind of 156 knots in the lowest 150 meters of the sounding, which equates to an intensity of 130 knots. The latest pressure reported by the plane is 929 millibars. The recent aircraft fixes show that Milton has turned a bit leftward and is moving towards the northeast at around 8 knots. Milton is forecast to turn northeastward and begin accelerating later today as it moves between a trough digging into the Gulf of Mexico and a ridge near the Greater Antilles. The track guidance is honed in on a landfall along the west central coast of Florida sometime Wednesday night. However, it is critical to remember that even at 36 to 48 hours away, NHC's track forecast can be off by an average of 60 to 70 nautical miles, which means we still can't pinpoint an exact landfall location, especially if the hurricane wobbles as it approaches the coast. After landfall, Milton is forecast to cross Florida and emerge over the open Atlantic waters on Thursday. Milton is expected to maintain major hurricane strength while it moves across the Gulf of Mexico and approaches the west coast of Florida. Stronger vertical shear is expected to set in about 24 hours, but even if this causes some weakening, it will not be enough to keep Milton from being an extremely dangerous hurricane when it reaches shore. Additionally, the first stages of extratropical transition may be just underway as Milton is reaching the coast, which could impart some baroclinic energy and slow the rate of weakening. NHC intensity forecast is close to the top end of the model envelope, which includes the GFS and the ECMWF models, since these models should have a better handle on the potential position trough interaction. Milton's wind field is expected to expand as it approaches Florida. In fact, the official forecast shows the hurricane and tropical storm force winds roughly doubling in size by the time it makes landfall. Therefore, damaging winds, life-threatening storm surge, and heavy rainfall will extend well outside the forecast cone. It is worth emphasizing that this is a very serious situation, and residents in Florida should closely follow orders from their local emergency management officials. Evacuations and other preparations should be completed by today. Milton has the potential to be one of the most destructive hurricanes on record for west central Florida. So there is the notes from NHC. This is direct from the NHC website, and you notice here that the NHC projection has this as a 150 mile per hour hurricane. It doesn't show it becoming much stronger than that, but we don't know after the eyewall replacement cycle. But usually as the wind field begins to expand from the core, you start to find that the energy is starting to kind of spread out, which makes it somewhat harder to then re-intensify the system, because you have to then focus all the energy in towards that center. It's like a skater pulling its arms in. As it pulls its arms in, the spin becomes faster and faster. The opposite takes place as you start to expand the arms. Then you start to slow the speed down, and it's the same kind of idea within the atmosphere here. It looks as if it moves ashore, according to NHC, as a 125 mile per hour Category 3 hurricane. Increased shear, possible some drier intrusion of the continental United States as well, will have an effect on decreasing the strength of the system on approach to Florida. So quite a long, lengthy video today, but certainly some very important information to be shared with you. Hope you've enjoyed the content. Be sure to check out the European Outlook. It will be released sometime between 6 and 6:30 p.m. UK time this evening, so stay tuned for that. And I'll probably be back once again tomorrow with another tropical update, looking at the latest on Hurricane Milton. Currently a 145 mile per hour hurricane, Category 4. We shall wait and see what happens over the next 24 hours. So stay tuned, like and subscribe. See you next time with more. Bye for now.